It was 5 months ago that I announced that I would run to become our next governor of Louisiana. So I thought now would be a great time to give an update on what I promised would be my careful preparation for the job. When I announced my intentions back in January, I chose my words very deliberately. I said exactly what I was thinking, and I meant exactly what I said. So I thought I would update you today on the key themes that I laid out then. I said that my decision to run for governor would in no way limit the critical work I'm doing in the U.S. Senate, and it hasn't. In fact, my work this year has been among the most productive during my tenure in the Senate. Just last week, I was at the White House for the bill signing ceremony for the WRDA bill, the Water Resources Development Act, which is important for the nation but really critical for Louisiana, given that it has major legislative accomplishments in the areas of hurricane flood protection, coastal restoration, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers reform, and maritime commerce, dredging and other important work to keep our ports and our maritime industries humming. Immediately after we finished work on the WRDA bill in the committee that I serve on, we started work on the next highway bill. And just a few weeks ago, we passed out our portion of the highway bill out of committee on a strong bipartisan basis, in fact, on a unanimous basis. And I continue to work with others on that bill, trying to put together a financing piece and move forward with our federal highway program. I've joined with many others and led many others, Republicans and Democrats, on a new chemical safety and regulatory reform bill. That's something I've been working on for quite a while and struck an important compromise with the late Senator Frank Lautenberg. Tragically, he died soon after we reached that compromise, but I've continued that bipartisan work with Tom Udall and several others, and we're moving forward with that bill in the Senate. Veterans issues have obviously been at the forefront of the news, and I've been very involved in those going back to before this VA scandal broke, working in particular on getting our new clinics in Lafayette and Lake Charles built. We finally scored a breakthrough on that, and also working on a bipartisan veteran backlog working group where we're making important progress. Flood insurance, key critical challenge for the state, and I'm very happy to report that we largely solved that problem with an important flood insurance bill that will avoid completely unaffordable rate increases in South Louisiana and elsewhere, so that was a big victory. And then I'm continuing to work on various reform efforts, including the no Washington exemption from Obamacare bill, to try to make sure that Washington, Congress, the Obama administration is treated like all other Americans under Obamacare when they go to the exchanges. So, obvious question, why did I decide to leave this important work to run for governor? Well, it's pretty simple. Wendy and I concluded that I can have a much bigger impact as our next governor, addressing the unique challenges and opportunities we face as a state. First, by definition, a chief executive can make a huge positive impact, just like a company's CEO can make the necessary decisions to build and grow a business. Second, I truly think we're at a really special moment in Louisiana with challenges and opportunities that are particularly exciting. We're well on the way to making common sense conservative reform the rule in Louisiana versus the occasional four-year exception. And we're beginning a real renaissance in American energy activity, a new era in which Louisiana can be an economic leader. Third and finally, even working in the minority party in the Senate, I feel as though I've accomplished a lot there. To go well beyond that would require Washington to cure its dysfunction much more than it would require me to do anything very new or different. So I want to build on our positive, concrete wins in the U.S. Senate. I want to help lead and build a model of conservative reform governance that works for all citizens here in Louisiana. I have to say all of those thoughts have only been affirmed 100-fold since January. Wendy and I have been really humbled and overwhelmed, quite frankly, by the encouragement and support we've received all around the state. And because of that support, we've blown past all of our initial goals in the campaign well ahead of schedule in fundraising, in grassroots organizing, in polling, etc. Now, in January, I said I would prepare for the governor's job by doing what I've always done, listening to the people of Louisiana, knowing that I sure don't have all the answers. I've continued to hold my official town hall meetings in every parish of the state. We're now up to 358. And I also do telephone town halls when I'm in Washington voting, 153 and counting. And with the governor's job in mind, I've also been doing lots of outreach and meetings on state issues. I began this with roundtable discussions on state issues in Monroe, Ruston, and Lafayette the very week I announced. And I've continued that, listening carefully in dozens of settings and in every region of the state. Of course, these will only ramp up over time. While these engagement sessions come in many shapes and sizes and are usually very informal and conversational, I'll be hosting 5 somewhat more structured leadership forums on our future around the state between now and September. And the topics and dates and locations are summarized on the handout at your table. These will be roundtable discussions among Louisiana leaders. I'll kick off each discussion with brief remarks. I'll lead the discussion, certainly asking questions, and as will others, and we'll hold a press availability after each session. The higher ed and the infrastructure sessions will also include a discussion of the closely related issue of state budget, spending, and tax reform. Now, I certainly don't want to prejudge these sessions, and I have a lot more homework to do in general. But several big themes have already emerged in my mind as I've thought about the above topics, issues which are interrelated in many ways. In K through 12 education, I think we need to focus additional efforts at both ends of the age and grade spectrum. We must get our children off to a fundamentally stronger, sounder start in the early grades and in basic skills, starting with reading. Right now, only 34% of America's third graders read at or above grade level. That's a disgrace. And the bigger disgrace, in Louisiana, the figure is 23%. We need a focused, committed effort to change that, to have absolutely as many Louisiana third graders as possible reading at or above grade level. This will put them on a fundamentally higher trajectory throughout their school careers. You know, it's difficult to introduce major education reforms and spring it on kids, say in the 8th grade. Having kids truly proficient in basic skills like reading from the beginning will make an enormous difference. And it's essential in order for reforms affecting higher grade levels to succeed. And in high school, at the other end of the age and grade spectrum, we need to prepare kids for any possible productive careers they want, whether it involves college or skills training. For far too long, we've devalued jobs and careers that don't involve a college degree. That's wrong, and it's wrong-headed when we have great high-paying jobs going unfilled because of the lack of a skilled workforce. In the Lake Charles area, where the Wall Street Journal says we're building a cutter on the bayou, brand new welders with a technical certificate will soon be making over $60,000 a year, brand new. And with only a few years under their belts, they will approach or exceed $100,000. And we don't have enough trained young people to fill these jobs. That's crazy, and we must correct that by highlighting these tracks and opportunities in high school and by expanding follow-on training opportunities that work, like Baton Rouge Community College's oversubscribed welding program and Associated Builder and Contractors expanding Rouge training campus. In the area of higher education, we need to stabilize the system. We all know we've experienced 6 years of cuts, of uncertainty, of instability. Stabilizing the system can probably best be done by focusing on fundamental budget, spending, and tax reform early on in the next administration. The state budget has been held together in the last few years with sewing yarn and Scotch tape. We need to change that with reforms that promote honesty and transparency, economic growth, and through it, budget stability. That budget spending and tax reform could also incorporate measures that provide much more robust support for our highway program and other vital infrastructure development. This is a crucial backbone of our economy that has been neglected, allowed to deteriorate over several years, leading to our current $12 to $13 billion Louisiana infrastructure backlog. Infrastructure has been a real priority of mine in the Senate as the lead Republican on the Infrastructure Committee, working, as I mentioned, on WRDA, the highway bill, and more. Finally, I'm excited that we have the best business environment for growing good jobs in Louisiana in my lifetime. And it's beginning to pay big dividends, but we need to focus on two challenges. First, we must remain aggressively vigilant and truly committed to rooting out corruption and cronyism. Fortune magazine just rated Louisiana the second most corrupt state in the nation. Now, that doesn't mean that we haven't made important progress. In fact, statistics like corruption convictions actually worsen, go up, when you attack the problem aggressively. But it does mean that this is a generation's work, not a year's. And we need to attack a very dark cloud remaining in our business climate, the litigation environment in Louisiana, marked by the regular threat of frivolous and harassing lawsuits. The Institute for Legal Reform currently ranks Louisiana 49th in the nation in this category and considers Orleans Parish one of the most unfair and threatening legal jurisdictions in the country. We need to fix this just as our thriving neighbors in Texas have done. In closing, let me repeat two solemn pledges that I made upon announcing my candidacy for governor back in January. First, if elected governor, this will be my last political job, elected or appointed, period. And second, after listening and learning through the engagements around the state that I've discussed, I will lead. I'm not running for governor as a stepping stone or to boast a nice title and cut ribbons. I'm not even running to gain a cameo appearance on Duck Dynasty, as intensely jealous as I am of that. Now, I'm running for governor to take on the important issues and make the hard decisions, not to avoid them. And my only criteria in doing so will be to do what's best for all Louisianians, from our best and brightest to our most vulnerable. Thank you again for inviting me here today, and I'll be happy to take questions. Look forward to it.